Welcome, everybody. This is Pat. That's Eric. Welcome to Fantasy Breakouts. After exciting week 7, we got some things to dive into real quick and whatnot. Let's kick that off, right? So, to begin with, Eric, let's go recap. Let's do a brief recap about all the games that happened today, and then we'll dive into some waiver wire suggestions and whatnot, all right? So the first game let's talk about is obviously the Thursday night game.
The Thursday night game, I think it like old Carson Wentz finally. He's targeting everybody. It wasn't just Travis Fulgham for the first time in a while. I didn't think the Giants played that bad either. I think Daniel Jones had that long, most hilarious run of all time, and that really helped his stats. But I think you can use him too in easier matchups like that. Slayton, he's going to have better weeks. Just hang on to him. He'll be fine. Slayton's going to be fine. And we're going to be talking about Sterling Shepard later in the waiver column. But what do you think about the game overall?
Well, thank you, Slayton. No, it's not his fault. They did bring a lot of stuff into the mix, like you said, Sterling Shepard and whatnot. But he definitely will have better weeks ahead. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen. I think the worst thing you could deal with as a fantasy football manager, what have you, is that Thursday night game and they do nothing. So, let's just move on from that. The next game is New Orleans, Carolina. New Orleans won 27-24. I thought that Alvin Kamara obviously is Alvin Kamara, did everything but score a touchdown as usual. But obviously, as an owner, you can't be greedy. You want health and you want production, and he's doing that. So I'm not saying anything. As far as the other side of the ball, man, I thought that Teddy was, like I called last week, I thought he would do a lot of great stuff, which he did. And we'll talk about him later in the waiver. What'd you think about that, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with both of those points. Yeah, you can't be mad about Kamara. I mean, he didn't have his biggest week, but he definitely did what he is supposed to do. So, and then the other thing about that, Mike Davis definitely had his worst game as a starter since he's been a starter. We do get one more week of him, I'm assuming, since they play Thursday. They probably want to rest McCaffrey and bring him back after their bye. And so it looks like we got Mike Davis one more game against Atlanta. And with Teddy getting DJ Moore the ball more, that's what we've been looking for. So if you're an owner of DJ Moore, you're just like, thank you, finally some life, and finally a big game from him. But those are the big points I had on that game.
Are you high right now on DJ Moore, or you kind of caught in the middle, or are you just glad you're not an owner?
I think I'm medium. Room temp on him. I'm not dying to get him, that's for sure. I didn't really get him at his draft position. It just didn't seem to work out. But no, I think I'm kind of lukewarm on him right now. But we'll see. We'll see how we look going forward.
Good. Okay. So as far as the next game, Buffalo Jets, and I thought this was extremely, extremely surprising. Buffalo did end up winning 18-10, but how did they stick around? It just looked like they're out of sorts. And I know John Brown is missing from that offense, but he cannot be he is a great player, but it just seemed like they didn't know what was going on. They couldn't get nothing going. The Jets were winning for a while. I know Josh Allen's your man, but what's your take on his performance today?
It just didn't seem like they were syncing up very well. They would get down to the 30-yard line and stall, and that's not the Jets defense that we've seen. We haven't seen Jets keeping people out of the end zone. So how many weeks in a row do I have to say that I'm not worried about Josh Allen? It just seems like that's what I say every time I talk on this. But I'm not. I mean, he threw for 300 yards. He ran for 60 yards. He just didn't have the touchdown. So his game was fine. The actual game sucked. That was probably the worst game this week.
I think the Jets are just that, I don't know, they just linger. So.
I think it's just a team, everyone's fighting to keep their jobs right now. We can't really expect them to be a pushover, but I think we'll get to another team that might be our pushover team if the Jets keep being a little bit stingy around the goal line. But maybe they aren't the easiest defense, but they're down there.
The next game pains me, man. Cleveland beat Cincinnati. My man Odell went down. Thank you, Baker. That's all on Blake Baker. I don't care what nobody says. The man threw a pass, a deep route to Odell. The first play of the game, or first, offensive play. 3 yards short of the man. He comes back, tries to whatever. So Odell, obviously, but on a broader note, Gio called us. If you watched my video the other night, Gio was a great pickup. He went to work, and I think that's the type of production you can expect and get used to in that environment. And like we said, we don't know how long Joe Mixon is out for, so keep that in mind. Joe Burrow is looking nice. I have a lot of confidence in this offense. They're slinging the rock, and this is definitely something to watch for constantly with some of these rookie quarterbacks, man. But I believe that this is definitely going to be pushing the wave right of that approach as far as rookie quarterbacks, and you can play them on a weekly basis now, it seems like, because they're just slinging it, right? Which is great for us as fantasy owners. Now, as far as the game, what did you take away from Eric? The Odell thing just got me out of sorts.
You're seeing more and more of these quarterbacks when I don't mind taking a really late quarterback and then grabbing one of these rookies. It's just not the same as it used to be 5 years ago, where you'd be afraid that they're just going to get pulled or some strange situation going to come up, and then you just don't have any points that week. Like the Joe Burrow, the Herbert, these guys are solid and they do run, and Burrow fed all the three wide receivers like we want him to. Higgins had a good game. A.J. Green had 13 targets and caught a good amount this time. And then Tyler Boyd, 13 targets and had a really big game. Baker came back from the Pittsburgh game, and even without OBJ, he did fine with Jarvis. Rashard Higgins is back in the mix, and he's not a bad receiver, so I think we'll talk about him later. But it's better signs from both teams. But Cincinnati's just starting out so good. They just come off the bus. They're just ready to go. They just get leads. Like, these guys get leads. So they're a fun team to watch, actually, Cincinnati Bengals.
Finally. So, next one, Washington beat Dallas 25-3. Have you ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused, Eric?
Yeah, maybe once or something. Yeah.
Well, you see them every Sunday. You watch America's football team, because that's what Dallas is. They don't know what's going on. They just stay away from. Nobody looks good. It looks like it's falling apart completely. Now, obviously, there's some positive to take away from this. Scary Terry is the dude. How do you feel about Scary Terry this year, Eric?
Yeah, I was looking for this game, and he was 4 inches away from having 2 touchdowns. He ended up getting the one and had a really good game. So we got what we needed out of him. Even if his quarterback isn't good, he's still getting open. So they're at least trying to get him the ball. So with Dallas, they get the Eagles next week. Eagles are actually owned in quite a few leagues, but they might not be in yours. They're around the 80% owned. But grab them. Dallas is down to their third-string quarterback. If Andy Dalton can't clear concussion protocols, he got smacked.
Rocked.
It was horrible.
The next game we're going to talk about is Green Bay, Houston. It was a great game as expected. Green Bay ended up winning 35-20. Thought it was a very good game. Thought Houston would put up more points overall, but at the same time, they don't have the same weapons that Aaron Rodgers does. Watson doesn't, for that matter, and I think that's definitely what happened. As far as the other side of the ball, I mean, I know the defense isn't good, but did they not know who number 17 is? Or what? The boy. Just let him open. It's crazy that he can get open that many times. How'd you feel about that, man?
Yeah, they usually have Roby. He does shadow coverage every week. They just use him that way, and he does a pretty good job. I guess he got hurt the first play of the game, Bradley Roby. So, I mean, after that, I don't think they had anybody to put on Adams, and that threw off their defense, and he had his biggest game since last year when he had a few big games at the end of the season. So you love to see that. 13 catches, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he's got to be ranked in our top 2 or 3 next week going against Minnesota. That might be he might be going back to back. So we'll see.
I did have a surprising one about Tanya. He didn't really do what I thought he would do, but he's a tight end. It's scarce. It is what it is. I think on a bad week, he's had better weeks than some other people that are putting up 1.2.
When I see like a younger guy that's maybe not as established missing practice all week, that's definitely more of a red flag. And I actually downgraded him out, started Hunter Henry, didn't make difference whatsoever. But
Whatsoever.
what? None. But yeah, when you see people that aren't really established and they miss practice all week, I think you were talking about this on Twitter too. But that's with guys like Julio. Maybe he doesn't even need to practice hardly. But with Tanya, with Tanya, that was a big red flag for me. And just at the end of the week, I didn't start him because of
I
that.
think some owners were in that position where they had to, I guess you would say. So it is what it is. So the next game, how did you feel about this game, man? Detroit ended up winning 23-22. Did you think that Todd Gurley should have went down at the 1 yard line, or?
Yeah, he got through that section of like linemen and linebackers. I didn't think he thought he would just be in the clear like that. It was really interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at him but he seems like a super smart guy. Like I don't know. It's kind of a tough situation because it's like I remember that like being really young, seeing like this Packers Super Bowl against like the Broncos, like in 99, 98, and they just
Open runway.
running back was it Davis or somebody just walk right in the end zone just so the Packers could get it back, something like that. But it's just like it's that situation. I mean, I wouldn't fault them. It's like you can't stop them from getting a field goal. That put them up 4, right?
Yeah, no, they had to do what they had to score a touchdown and a field goal in order to win. So it sucks. I would not want to be in that position because we know that he knows how bad that defense is.
Right.
And
yeah, absolutely.
as far as Galladay, he's a guy we know he's going to be capable of. He probably is not having the biggest, week to week, but at the same time, he's getting production. Beggars can be choosers. Now, when it comes to Swift, I know you're excited. This is your boy. He's definitely lining things up. He's doing what he's supposed to, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's looking so versatile. Like, I think he only did outtouch. Yeah, he outtouched Adrian Peterson just 13-12, but he just does everything. He's the right size. He can catch like really, really well. I think he should have probably gotten drafted by the Chiefs because I think he would have been probably the best fit there. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. I remember thinking that like they're just getting this little CEH pretty small. I think Swift is a combo of him and Le'Veon. CEH and Le'Veon is probably Swift. But yeah, I really like what we're seeing. I think he's a running back too going forward. Oh, Gurley goes against Carolina next week, so that he might get a couple touchdowns again. So that he might be a good start in DFS or just regardless.
Gurley's been one of the biggest surprises this year by far. I think him and David Johnson are probably the most stable, random, solid producers. Like you know what you're gonna get, and it's a solid floor. They're not gonna do too much, but at the same time, it's just coasting.
He had the most carries of the whole season today. Gurley did. So
we'll see.
That's what the knock on him is.
The next game we're gonna talk about is Pittsburgh 27 over Tennessee 24. This is a great game. Very interesting game. I thought Ryan Tannehill struggled a lot, but when it comes to Pittsburgh's offense, this is going to be something I think we're going to be dealing with all week, every week, all year. Juju had like 14 targets today. I'm confused, like 1 week they're going to use him, but then right when Deontay Johnson like kind of got hurt, they put Claypool. They have a lot of weapons. It's very good, but I think it's going to be hard for us to, determine who's going to be that featured person on a week-to-week basis. I think they just put their names in a bucket before the game on Sunday and say, it's your day. So I think Juju's not going to be as bad as some people thought he would be. I think he's going to be all right, but he's definitely going to have these up-and-down games. Now, as far as Claypool, I know somebody spent like 40 fab on him, and I'm just saying, what are you thinking about right now?
Yeah, didn't even have a point today. But yeah, I think with the problem about who's getting the targets, I mean, I think it showed you got, what did you just say, 14 for Juju? We had 15 targets. So the target, if someone doesn't know what that is, that's how many times they were actually thrown at, or how many times they attempted to throw at that person. So they attempted to throw at Deontay Johnson 15 times today. I think he caught 11. He had such a good game, but then he's almost looking like a Will Fuller, where looks like he's going to get hurt any second. But if he's out there, you can count him getting the ball. I think today showed you can count on Johnson getting the ball if he's healthy. If he's not, then I think you got a much stronger play on Claypool. But Claypool was out there when they were just going. They go a lot of heavy sets, but they put Claypool would be the only receiver on the field in other sets where they just had tight ends and one receiver. They were putting Claypool out there. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get the ball the most, but it shows that he's their guy. So just I think it was just an off day. I wouldn't be too overly worried about Claypool. You didn't get what you wanted though. Deontay Johnson might have been dropped in your league too. He's available in 20% of leagues right now. So look for him, grab him.
If he's available, definitely grab him. That's interesting. That should not be the case. The man's injury prone, yes, but when he's on the field, as you can see, he gets the ball. Next game, Tampa Bay, 45 over the Raiders, 20. I dropped an update as far as, the AB signing and whatnot, and I felt like Mike Evans owners should be extremely worried. But I do not think that Godwin's going to hurt at all. He's not going to suffer at all. And I think that's just, Scotty Miller Day had a great game. But once AB gets there, it's going to go the other way. But let's all keep in mind, AB is AB. Give him 3 weeks. As far as the offense, Tom Brady's look good, looks fresh. Gronk is doing some things.
With Gronk, yeah, I think you have somebody that's consistent. I mean, he went 5 for 62 and a touchdown. He's got 3 weeks in a row with over 50 yards, and that's a tight end. He plays tight end, so that's pretty darn good. Josh Jacobs, he had a bad game, but I think he's going to come back super strong next week. And I think with the Raiders, they probably got really thrown off with having no linemen in the building for a few days, and you can't even do a walkthrough, I'm sure. You got completely different individuals, and then Friday or Saturday they came back and were able to practice. So I think they got thrown off a little bit with their COVID stuff going on. So I wouldn't worry too much about the Raiders.
Next game, Kansas City 43, Denver 16. What do I got to say? I knew what was going to happen with that defense. They went to work. So thank you. Whew. As far as the other, kind of pieces in there, Eric, how did you like how they used Le'Veon Bell today?
I think they used him probably as much as you could with how limited amount of time he's been around the team. Yeah, it's definitely going to cut into Clyde. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he got his touchdown to make it actually a pretty darn good game, but I thought both of them actually looked pretty good. I think this could be a time to maybe sell on Le'Veon. He looked fast and fresh out there. But I think a part of this game was the weather, and I think we were maybe a little bit overblown on what the weather situation was, but it's better to be cautious. And I do have like a nice little tip, maybe to zero in on that. I have a secret type thing you can do. I'll share that next video. But and then with the blowout, Mahomes didn't do anything because he didn't have to, that's why you don't draft a quarterback early.
And like I talked about earlier, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this same type of Mahomes day happens next week against the Jets, because they flat out don't have to. They can just hand the ball. You got to think Le'Veon revenge game. Let's move on. Jacksonville lost to the Chargers 39-29. James Robinson is going to be relevant no matter what, no matter how many, if they're down, up, doesn't matter. You play James Robinson. Don't think about it. Keep moving. As far as Herbert, what's your analysis on the young quarterback?
Yeah, like I said before in the Bengals section, I think you could stack him right up next to Joe Burrow. He's faster. He's almost more Josh Allen-y than Burrow is, so he's harder to bring down. He loves Keenan Allen. 13 targets for Keenan Allen, so you got to be happy if you have him. With this game, it was the perfect setup. It's all you can ever ask for. And Herbert is good, really good, because you've seen these games, these 3 o'clock games with Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers never had the athletic ability to actually go and run for first downs. He would just check it off to running backs. So it's like Herbert's almost a little running back plus a quarterback right now, because he'll just make things happen, and it's really fun to watch him.
Definitely. Always keep in mind that with the rookie quarterbacks, they don't have much game film on them, right? Like it's unpredictable almost at times, but they are both doing great. They're making good reads, good progressions, and whatnot. Next game, San Fran 33 over New England 6. This puke. Very confused what happened. I am, but I'm not. Cam looked miserable. I'm not gonna be loud. He just didn't look normal when he threw it. Just looked off. I don't know if the man didn't eat his Wheaties. They gave him the wrong bed. I don't know what's going on. He just did not look like he was there, really. He went MIA. We also had McKinnon on the milk box. What's going on? Very confused by that, but I'm going to treat it as it is, like kind of like a, put it in the back burner. New England tends to do this, and they come out next week and go to work. But San Fran, as we know, they're going to run the ball. Whoever's the guy he's going to eat. Unfortunately, we saw Wilson go down with a injury at the end, but he was on 5%. He had 35 points before he left.
Yeah, he had, I think it was either the best or the second best running back week before he got hurt. It's insane. But it's the Patriots just can't get away with their roster management of just neglecting receivers and tight ends and they've addressed running backs before. I mean, with some draft capital, but this is really catching up to them, and you wonder what their plan is, if they're just trying to be a 500 team this year and see what happens next year in the draft. But it's definitely strange watching it. But that game is just out of hand.
It was crazy because I had James White in the league, and I thought they're definitely going to get some dump off. Nothing. It's just the whole thing just. So, Seattle, Arizona, it was a crazy game. Seattle ended up losing. Well, Russ ended up throwing a pick at the end, so Arizona ended up winning by a game-winning field goal based off that pick. It was a great game, as we expected by those two. If you're a Tyler Lockett owner, hats off. You had a day, you had a night, whatever. As far as the game, did you see any surprises? I mean, we knew what the Seattle Seahawks, their defense is bad. We've known this from the jump, and I think every day that they expect Russ to do this. Now, Russ did have, 3 turnovers a day? Are you surprised at the overall outcome about that game?
No. We talked about this with our rankings. I had Russ 1, Kyler. I think I had him 3. So I expected this game. You had to figure things would the pendulum would swing back from DK to more to Lockett eventually. So this is your game right now. I mean, that was insane. What did he have? 3 touchdowns, right?
Man, that man would have worked. Yeah, I think he had like 192. I thought Devontae Adams had a day, and then he has a better day. It's nuts. So, as far as the game tomorrow night, Chicago at Rams, how are you feeling about that? What are you expecting? I think it's going to be a grinded game. Rams have something to prove. Chicago obviously still wants to prove that they're not just a fluke for the record, but I think this is going to be a ground and pound game. Ramsey's going to be covering Allen Robinson, so I'd say, based off our rankings and whatnot, he's going to have all right, but he's not going to do anything spectacular. What are you looking for in this game specifically?
Yeah, that's a good point with Allen Robinson. I know Jalen Ramsey, he will shadow, but I guess he hasn't been recently, so we'll see what they end up doing. You would think that he would, with that being basically Chicago's biggest offensive threat. And expect pretty low score, but it's going to be in LA, so it's not going to be in any cold weather or anything, any bear weather. We'll give an update though if anything out of the ordinary happens, or we want to give any waiver updates for that game. We'll be either on Twitter or we'll do a quick live on that. But let's get into waiver pickups, Pat. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on with injuries, especially I noticed. So what do you think? Who are your biggest pickups right now, or waiver pickups for this week?
Week 8 is definitely interesting because they're missing a lot of quarterbacks. Keep in mind Deshaun, Murray, just a couple off the jump that are out. Now I would obviously go ahead and pick up, like we talked about, Joe Burrow, Herbert if he's available. Carson Wentz, if he's available. They are playing Dallas. Keep that in mind. It always sounds great, right? Now, as far as some injuries that happened, we saw, I don't know how serious Chris Carson's injury is, but Obviously, they're passing more, but if Hyde's available, you'll get him. Obviously, Drake went down. I don't like wishing injuries upon anybody, but at the same time, this might be what they needed, everybody needed, for Chase Edmonds just to run away with it, literally. So I would definitely go after Chase Edmonds if he's available. Most likely not. Now, I do have another one, Hockenson. He looks very involved. If he's still out there, some leagues he might be. Go ahead and take him. Now, as far as another quarterback you like, what are you thinking about, Eric?
I think what you said is exactly what I'd be looking at. Carson Wentz next week. That's money in the bag right there.
Ching.
And then Teddy is probably owned, but he might not be. He's got Atlanta on Thursday night, so there's two. You're fine, either of those, and then the other guys you mentioned. But yeah, I'll list my dollar amounts. We don't need to go into each dollar amount in case you just have regular waivers for this week. But receiver, with this week we saw Sterling Shepard look really good on Thursday night. I think he's worth your waiver claim if you need a wide receiver 3. Rashard Higgins, if Shepard's not available, which he should be, he's like widely available right now. I think it's either like 80 or 90% unowned, but Higgins is available in like 99% of leagues, so he's an option. Ayuk, he's probably the best track star in the NFL. He's available in 50% of leagues, so that's another option receiver. Cole Beasley, if John Brown's out again, I told you to pick him up last week if you needed somebody. He had 10 catches. He had a good amount of points. There you go. There's another receiver. Dallas Goedert, after their week 9 bye, he's expected to come back. So maybe save yourself some money, or maybe you could pick him up on waivers this week, and then you're good. Harrison Bryant, if Austin Hooper's out again, they're throwing the ball to Harrison Bryant on the Browns. They're throwing it to him. Crazy. And then I think Odell had a little bit to do with that too. So, and it doesn't look like Odell's coming back soon. Sorry, Pat. But please, Harrison Bryant could be worth just after waivers go through, grab Harrison Bryant. I would assume he's still going to be there. Ebron looked really involved, but he's also in that pool of non-Deontay Johnson players where you don't know how many targets he's going to get. But Ebron's another tight end option. Anything else you want to add in those? I just went over receiver, tight end.
Not really, man. Once again, obviously it depends on your team needs. I want to go out there. Like I said earlier, somebody spent almost $40 on Claypool last week, and let's keep in mind that it is a long season and things like this are constantly going to happen. Obviously, if you're in dire need of 2 running backs, so you have to do what you got to, but just be cautious with that, man, because people are constantly become available, whatnot, because people, I mean, it's a long season. It's football to begin with.
Dangerous sport. Yep.
Yeah, and then this year, all years, man, you need that fab. Let's move on to the drop list. I got a couple drops. If you haven't dropped TY, please do us all a favor and drop them. J.D. McKissick, Zach Ertz. I don't know, Eric. He did not look good. I don't know how long this man's back. I don't know what's going on. I'm glad I didn't draft him. I'm glad I don't have anything to do with him. Deshaun Jackson also had a major injury. Unfortunately, it might be career-ending to me. It's a fractured ankle, and that's what he relies on, his speed, so it's not looking good. A.J. Dillon, I know some people thought it was slick to pick him up. No. Anthony Miller, I doubt he's going to do anything. I don't have confidence in him. It seems like he's out of the mix there. And the backup tight end I'm taking Juno Smith, not the Frisker, whatever his name is. You got any drops, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with those. If you have Ertz, and yeah, that's tough. If you've got somebody that's up and coming, Hawkinson, somebody that's he's helping your team out, I'm okay if you want to drop him. Similar situation, maybe not quite as intense as having Ertz and having that predicament, but Hunter Henry, same thing. I got a little bit of Hunter Henry, and tight end is a tough position to fill, but I might be dropping him. He just went 3 for 23. They scored look. I probably am dropping him. Okay, I'll say something a little more firm than that.
He's
He just went 3 for 23. What did they score? How many points did we just say they scored in that game? And he went 3 for 23. Everybody's been
39,
there, right?
39.
They scored 39 points, and he went 3 for 23. But he had an okay amount of targets. I'm in a pickle. But defense, I do want to mention a couple defenses because that's what I always do. Indy at Detroit next week. Indy, because of the bye, a lot of people dropped them. Grab them. Maybe you can wait. Maybe you should use, if you don't really care what your waiver priority is going to be, maybe burn a waiver priority on them. Green Bay at home, Minnesota Vikings. I don't hate it.
Dude,
I feel like a terrible fan, but yeah, start them. For sure, start them. But,
Well, thank you guys for joining us for our Week 7 recap and whatnot. This has been Fantasy Breakouts. I'm Pat. That's Eric. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all great stuff in order to get current updates each day. Always put your questions down below. Please, thank you. Do not text me. I don't know if I text you, but don't text me. I appreciate all you guys' support and whatnot. Anything else, Mr. Eric?
No, thank you so much. Look forward to your questions. I think people are getting it. We had some super good questions. I think we might go over next video. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Deuces.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching the video.